This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Here's stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Inside Mside. I'm really excited to have a full house here with me today. Have a good conversation about an experience that just took place. So I wanted to get you all in to talk about your little trip that you went down south and maybe some of the things you learned, the excitement that you took part in, all of those different things. So thanks for joining on Inside Mside, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're so happy to be here.
No doubt. Really excited for it. So to kick things off, I should probably lay the groundwork. My name is Alex Waters, the Alumni Engagement Director here at Morningside. I'm excited to be the host for this episode and hear some of the feedback and things you guys learned. But to start off, why don't we start with some introductions? Gary, you want to start?
Perfect, yeah. My name is Garrett Arbuckle. I am a junior political science major with a minor in legal studies here at Morningside, and I'm currently serving as student body president for student government and for Morningside.
Perfect.
My name is Brett Lyon. I am a 04 alum. I am currently the Director of Safety and Security here at Morningside University, and I was the chaperone/advisor for the trip. So, it was a good time.
There you go.
My name is Collin Adank. I'm a junior here at Morningside studying nursing with a minor in business administration, and I serve as a director of communications for student government.
Cool.
My name is Camrie Miranda. I'm a sophomore here at Morningside. I'm majoring in political science and English with a minor in psychology. I serve as a sophomore senator and the diversity subcommittee chair for student government.
Very cool. Well, welcome. So before we get into it and talk more about the trip and what you all are here to maybe discuss, I want to get started how I normally do with the pod, and I love just asking this kind of introductory question and just getting to know a little bit more about your experience. So really, what brought you to Morningside? Camrie, let's start over here and we'll go the opposite way. Start with you.
Yep.
What brought you to Morningside initially?
So I'm involved in the arts on campus, so it was majorly choir, but if you ask my parents, it was whatever campus I thought would be able to handle all the leadership opportunities I would bring to campus.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm a very headstrong person, so it was like the conversation of like, so we can't put her anywhere like too easy, but I don't know. I think somewhere that was involved in the community, I really like that about Morningside, and the choir program is really nice. Dr. Pearson's a great teacher, along with Dr. J. So kind of just those things: leadership, choir.
Very cool. Well, Camrie, very cool. Collin, talk to me a little bit about what brought you to Morningside.
Of course. Very similar to Camrie. I found Morningside because someone that was a year ahead of me in high school was an instrumentalist in the band here on campus. And leaving high school, I had a couple different options, but my choir director was like, hey, did you ever think about music, in college? Morningside is doing some pretty cool stuff. So, of course, I drugged my mom down here, and we took a look and fell in love. So that was for sure.
Yeah. Brett, we got to go, but you and I have to go back a little bit further in our experience than these students here today.
I'm a little bit further back than you, but
yeah, just a little.
The first time I stepped foot on campus was back in 1998 as a junior in high school. I took a junior visit, and I pretty much kind of knew right then I was dead set on Morningside. I felt welcomed. I felt at home. Just walking across campus. Initially, I came in as an athletic training major, switched over to education, but my junior and senior years, I was really involved in on-campus and student government, Reds Life, Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia, and a bunch of other organizations, and I just started feeling like I was going to come back here in some way, in some fashion. So went off and worked in the political field for 2 years, but then I just knew I needed to come back. I needed to come back in some role. It may have been admissions, but an opportunity came up in the security department. And then for about 8 years, I was assistant director. And now for the last almost 6-7 years, I've been the director of safety and security here. So
awesome. Well, welcome, Brett. Last but not least, student body president, Garrett Arbuckle. Tell me a little bit about what brought you to Morningside.
So it's a little bit of a funny story. Those that have heard it before know that Morningside was towards the bottom of my list to go to school. And I was then my senior year the men's volleyball coach reached out to me and said that he wanted me to come visit campus and spend the weekend on campus for a recruitment weekend. And so I came to campus, did the tour, stayed in the dorm halls, hung out with some teammates, and tried out for the team essentially. Yeah. And then I got offered a position on the team, and that was something that really meant a lot to me because I did nothing for recruiting. So he did the cold call to me where normally, if you're going to go for a collegiate sport, you have to do your own recruiting and, you have to
almost like sell yourself.
Yeah. And I did not have to do any of that. So that connection kind of made me feel really special. And then coming to campus, I was like, yeah, I can definitely see myself being here. And then now I'm not playing volleyball anymore, but Morningside is stuck with me, and I love it here. Yeah,
happily stuck with you. Yeah. Very cool. Well, yeah, and you're involved in a lot of things as well, and that's one thing that I love about this crew, is just all of your dedication to campus and really being a part of the fabric of our community. You know what I mean? I talked about that obviously with the youth, and you all are paying it forward in such a big way of really trying to elevate the dialogue that's happening here, the conversations that we're having, and just be a part of groups that are really making an impact on campus. So kudos to you. That's for sure. So set the stage. Tell me just a little bit about, you went on a conference. How did that come about? How did you hear about this? What is this conference?
I think that goes back to Garrett and I's freshman year on campus.
Yes, it does. So to preface, while we are Morningside University Student Government, we are part of the association, the American Association of Student Governments. And so that is not all student governments are, but Morningside University Student Government is a part of that larger body. And so we went on and even Brett.
Yeah,
Brett was there last time.
8-hour van ride
to Chicago, Illinois, where we went to the conference. And that was my first travel experience with Morningside in general, because while I played volleyball, it wasn't travel season yet, and so we got to go to this conference and learn a lot and come back and experience. I mean, we got to experience Chicago and then come back. And then the past 2 years, it has been all of the conferences have been virtual, and so that was something that we've had many discussions about. Like, is this worth it? Is it not worth it? And kind of the general consensus was that the virtual ones you're not going to get the experience that you're going for out of those virtual ones.
Definitely.
So then this year we got, the Senate actually pushed us to go towards this one, because at the beginning of the year when we were looking into things, it was looking like things are still going to be virtual, and then even other conferences have gotten canceled this year and already early this year in 2022. But this one was a go, and so senators blew up my email logs with this invitation, because you were a part of that American Association of Student Governments, and they send out their promotional stuff and this conference, their newsletters, and this conference was in one of those, and so it was printed out, and so we got it together to go, and that's kind of like the groundwork of like setting the stage and what this conference is, and it's going to learn about student government, learn how to better your student government, and then just workshops to better yourself as a leader and bring things back to campus.
Yeah. And now who all went, or who all, I know we just have a smaller group, right? Because there were more people that went.
Yeah, there was a group of about 14, including Brett. So 13 students and Brett.
Wow. That's a crew. Brett, I tell you what, man, that's a responsibility right there.
It was, but I mean, one of the things I like about the opportunity that I have is I get to see the students on a whole other level, but they also get to know me too. Sometimes, students look at me as the bad guy, being the director of safety and security.
Exactly.
Writing tickets,
being the mean guy, those type of things. But, even when, they asked me to be the chaperone this time because their advisor wasn't able to, I said, yeah, I mean, I'm being part of student government. I know from 2 years ago when we went how important this conference is and how much they learned and how much the presenters really, truly care about the success of these organizations. So, Garrett and I kind of started visiting, getting everything kind of laid out. And then even when I was talking with Garrett, we talked about, what are we going to do? Because we were flying down Friday, going to be down there Saturday and come back Sunday. And I kind of mentioned that, and he mentioned too about going downtown, experiencing part of New Orleans. So we made arrangements to go downtown. I wanted the students to experience some of the New Orleans type of food and things like culture. And then we didn't know until we got down there, but it was actually the start of Mardi Gras. So the students were able to see a 2.5 hour long parade.
That's a parade.
It just seemed like it never ended. So, and then we find out that the parades just keep getting bigger and longer
and bigger.
And
bigger.
So, I mean, even as a staff member, I went to the advisors, presentations and things like that. The presenter, Mike Cador, he was a New Orleans Saints football player for a couple of years, was one of the presenters, and he even challenged us as advisors or even as staff members, because there was a couple of us that were, chaperones, fill-in advisors for the weekends, and he even just challenged us as regular staff members to do things to help these guys, to help our campuses, to help ourselves. So it not only benefited these guys, because I talking with them and hearing some of the presentations and looking at some of them. A lot of these presentations were very timely for what some of the challenges these guys are facing. As their student government, and then one of the things too is, as a staff member and being the director of safety and security, I try to work with these guys closely. They bring constituency reports to me, and we try to take care of them. And that's one thing that I've learned over the last 6-7 years that I've been in charge now, that working with these guys is going to only make this campus better. So it's not about me, it's not about my job, it's about making sure everybody on campus is heard, but also that we're trying to provide the safest campus. So, but going back to the trip, it gives them an opportunity to kind of see me outside of my my real role on campus, and we had fun. It was between the Saturday night and then Sunday morning, we made sure that whoever wanted to could have beignets and coffee at Cafe Du Monde. So I truly, being down there already, I wanted these guys to kind of experience some of the New Orleans atmosphere, because that's part of the whole experience. They're working hard. We wanted to make sure that they experienced some of this. That's part of the whole Morningside experience.
Oh, completely.
The other aspect of that also is we were able to get to know Brett and bond with Brett, but also each other. On campus, you guys have heard how busy we are, how much is happening on campus. Sometimes we don't always have the opportunity to actually sit down and bond with each other and get to know each other more than just, our roles within SG or our roles on campus as student leaders. So that was another very, very rewarding opportunity, was to sit in the hotel and visit and hear about people's experiences maybe outside of Morningside, what people's high school experiences are like, and, what people's career aspirations are and things like that. It was just so rewarding to just be with each other, especially given our hiatus from travel.
Absolutely, and sorry to take things late, but Camrie, this was actually your first time traveling on an airplane, going to this. So,
So
was it really? That's a lot of firsts right there.
I've kind of been landlocked all my life, other than last summer when I got to go to Florida for the first time and see the ocean, and then going to New Orleans this year. But my family we're very much a load up in the van and drive wherever we go family. And on top of I know the Senate, but I don't know anybody personally other than two senators and a few executives. So I was really nervous, and I was oh my gosh, what if this plane ride goes south and whatever? And I ended up sitting I ended up sitting next to Collin and Marissa, and it was on the plane, and it was good for the most part. I had it was a little scary taking off, but after that I had a good time. It was interesting. It was a new experience.
Yeah. So it was not only maybe the anxiety or anxiousness of going to a conference and going across the country for this. It's also I'm getting on a plane for the first time. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and for my parents too, it was pretty funny because they don't go on planes a lot either. So it was you need to call me when you land. You need to call me when you get on the plane. So it was a good time though.
Oh, that's funny.
Who was more nervous, you or them?
Yeah. Probably that. More my mom. My mom was they'd call me right after or when I was getting on. What are you doing? I'm getting on the plane right now.
Okay. Step by step.
Good to know.
Tracking location.
Good to know we can hear you.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm sure there were a ton of lessons learned and different breakout sessions, all different things at these conferences. I was fortunate enough with my Morningside experience when I was a student to go on maybe a similar one. But I wondered if each of you would mind just sharing or highlighting what was at least one conversation, one breakout session, one thing that you attended that you were like, oh my gosh, that's something I want to bring back to campus, or not even maybe bring it back to campus, but just something that you think will impact your life.
Yeah, so I attended a few of the panels, and one of the panels was is like 25 mistakes that your student government can make or something like that.
Oh wow.
And it was like, it was good in the way of we hadn't really made a lot. We've made the mistakes in the past, but as of this year's Senate, we hadn't. So it was like good to see that we only had to worry about a few and work on a few versus like several other schools that were there talking about how they just didn't have much of a Senate, or they were having trouble with funding, or they had a few impeachments in the past. Like hearing them and then comparing like their mistake list, our mistake list, really like put me in a good place of knowing that Morningside is like blessed with a lot of the opportunities that we have on campus and like the structure that we have for student government right now. And in the same instance, I got to share like what we do and like the functions that we do on campus a lot with the other senates, and talk about kind of how we run things and be able to get some feedback for ours in the future and feedback for theirs, and help them kind of get structure and reach out and make a lot of connections from the conference.
That's cool. Very much so in a way that it's almost mutually beneficial, right? Like you're able to offer some insights, but also glean some information maybe from them.
Yeah.
That sounds very cool.
Yeah, I would say one of my favorite sessions was a session on retention. So believe it or not every student on campus is exactly as involved as us three are, right?
No doubt.
And so in that session, we were able to sort of unpack, sort of the multifactorial aspect of, what sort of is drawing at students' resources, like the resource of time type of thing, at the collegiate level when you look at involvement and engagement in organizations like ours. And it was neat. We did sort of discussion-based activities looking at, look at this student's hypothetical situation, right? And what are ways we're going to go about reaching out to this student in order to retain their involvement in our organization. And it looked at being inclusive to different aspects of campus, like scheduling. And, we meet at one time, but if it's working for a different aspect of students or a different population of students that aren't normally represented or involved in an organization, maybe we'll look at adjusting things to reach out to students and get them involved or keep them involved. So it was really neat to sort of just have the opportunity to look at things differently. Because, I would like to think we do things well on campus, but also just to shift that perspective and look at how we can do things better, especially in regards to reaching students.
Well, and just taking a step back and saying, how can we improve our processes?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a difficult conversation that you're going to have everywhere in your life. You know what I mean? Is whether it's a group on campus or even I'm sure Brett deals with staffing and other things, what can you do to provide someone the support necessary so that they're an effective member of your team?
And that's exactly what I got into. It was looking at sort of building student leaders within our campus as we've sort of been built. So, if you have someone that's been involved in the organization, a student, right, and suddenly the demand for their time is increasing, looking at things like meeting with them to go over their schedule, build sort of resources and habits for them to make both things work, the demands of their time, but also staying involved in an organization. So definitely and it was cool also there were schools there from across the nation. I forget all of them, Pennsylvania and Arizona, all over. And so to be able to hear other universities' experiences with sort of retaining student involvement, and then look at how we can bring that back to Morningside to just be the best organization we can be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The other thing that I'm going to add, I went to 2 workshops that were by the same presenter, so they work hand in hand. One was having a seat at the table, talking about, how to effectively communicate at the higher level, which is what we kind of already discussed a little bit, especially at like those board positions or meeting with the president of the university or anything like that, and how, it's important to hear the voices and let people have a seat on the table. And then also the part of building and creating a team, the cliche saying, teamwork makes dream work, but it's true. And there's a need and there's a want but it first starts with wanting to be a part of that team and wanting to set that culture and that tone. And I think that is something that was very important and very valuable to listen to and hear, is because, while we are very involved and why student government is full of students that are involved, that's not necessarily the norm. So then it kind of speaks to Collin's retention piece, well, how can we still include those people and make them have a seat at the table and make them a part of our team? And I think those are not only skills that are going to be effective here at Morningside, but also for our careers going forward, because you don't live in this world alone. You don't have your own agenda. You don't have, especially when you're working on at a place like Morningside, like it's all about community, all about the Morningside family, and that's all involving more than one person and more than just yourself. So it's kind of using your strengths to be a part of that team and a part of that family, which is something that I found valuable. And I think that with the relationships and different things that we were able to build on that as well, we're definitely going to be able to build momentum off of those things.
Yeah, and just things to be able to bring back to campus, right?
Yeah.
More people at the table, and then also giving them space, and seeing them where they are, because I think we've all probably been a part of those groups where maybe it's the few that are doing the work, you know what I mean, and carrying more than their load. And I think to both of those points, especially that Collin, you and Garrett touched on, was just making sure that you're giving them the space and maybe the timing and everything else, and not falling into some of those traps that maybe they outlined in your session, Camrie. I think that that's going to be important, like you said, Garrett, improving your organization on campus, but then also thinking, okay, how do I do this in my personal life, but also then maybe a professional career? You know what I mean? And Brett talked about that, I'm sure, in his office and everything else that he's experienced with that. But
I mean, even during the advisor sessions, it was nice to hear from other advisors that our group is going through the same processes and same trials and tribulations but it's also reassuring that knowing and getting to know these guys over the trip, that student government's in good hands. They have a strong leadership, they have a strong Senate, that they are willing to make the changes, and even during the advisor sessions, one thing I really was proud of our campus as a whole is they really encouraged mentoring and inspiring, and really working with the students to fulfill their aspirations of going into politics, to going into nursing and making, and that all starts with each one of us on our campus. I mean, not just their normal advisor, but even me as a director of safety and security, as alumni engagement director, really working with our students, communicating, inspiring, mentoring, and encouraging them to go for their goals. And then the other thing that he encouraged us not only to do that with our students, but our professionally ourselves. If we want to do something, if you want to take the next step and go do something, don't be afraid to do it. I mean, we tell our students to do that, but
sometimes we have to take our own medicine. Exactly.
Yes. So, even as the chaperone advisor for the trip, I mean, I even learned a lot. So, I mean, the association really, truly, I mean, I'm glad these guys are part of it, because even on the 2 trips I've been able to go to, you can tell from the executive director, Butch, to all the presenters that they truly care about the success of each one of these student governments that they work with. I mean, I got a text message from, we call him Uncle Mike now, Mike Adore, send me a text message already, personally, saying, hey, glad to meet you. If you need anything, let me know, that type of thing. So, I mean, and he's got his own professional, life to going on as the vice president for student development and stuff like that. So, I mean, these guys have valuable resources that they can reach out to. But, I think the trip really brought a lot of them together, really inspired them. And now, hopefully, over the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months, they can take those few things that they need to work on and improve it. And then obviously we all have ways that we can improve. And so, I mean, I continue working with them on their safety committee and, addressing concerns and things like that. And then we all need to do that across campus. So, I mean, one thing that I would say, John's always told us, it's not about us, it's about these guys as students.
Yeah. Well, and I think setting up for future success.
Yeah.
You know, Garrett, you and I have talked about, I mean, as the student body president, and then just in my experience too in politics, but thinking about, gosh, who's going to be there after me, or who's going to be this next person that's going to step up. And you want to make sure you're leaving an organization set up to succeed, you know, and making sure the processes are in place or different things are happening, because you inherently, I think, in a lot of organizations have some hesitation and some worry that it's like, gosh, if I'm not at this, you know, what's going to be happening? And so it's cool to learn from others, see what they're doing well, implement it, so that all of those people that follow you are going to have at least those foundational things in place. That's for sure. Now I want to talk a little bit, just briefly then, about what Brett mentioned. I mean, the cultural side of this trip sounds like it was pretty incredible, right? Like, what were some memorable things for the three of you?
I would say,
because Brett touched on a lot of his. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm thinking about the parade, the beignets, all that.
I would just say the atmosphere is very different, and it's really unique and cool to see. I mean, there was a lot of energy on Saturday night downtown, but then even, you know, Sunday morning, eating the beignets and having coffee, like the atmosphere is just very comfortable down there, and very community focused. I would say, like, people, like, it was really a unique experience. Yeah.
To speak more to that, I really liked how lively everything was. I mean, we were driving through the area, through town. I mean, seeing their decorations and just the way that they, I don't know, organize themselves. I mean, just like the buildings were cool to look at, the lights were cool to look at. Just such a lively area.
Yeah, like a notable thing for me is the Mardi Gras parade that was performing was it was called like Crew of Chewbacca's. It was Star Wars themed.
Yeah.
And I am a major nerd in several aspects except for Star Wars. So I was like, oh my gosh. And then like there was several other like groups going through. There was like all the different shows you could think of there. Just they were having a good time, totally nerding out in like the middle of down like Bourbon Street, just having a good time, and it was fun to watch them having such a good time doing something that they love, and then the people around them just having a good time as well. So it was fun.
And something that was really cool to see was the streets are packed, and then after the parade's over, all that's left is like maybe pockets of people, and then like trash, and like the end of the parade, which is also kind of not cool to see all the trash on the street, but it was just like, wow, they really do put this time and energy in every week during this season to make sure that their citizens get to have this experience. Then the street cleaners will come in and clean it all up, and it'll be ready brand new for next week. And that dedication to their citizens was really cool to see too, because, you know, cities maybe will just want to be like, no, you get one parade and that's it, because we don't want to have to deal with it. And all of the police that are there, they're all there voluntarily. Like, it's not like they're not on the clock doing these parades. And so that also just speaks to a lot of the culture and the life that they want to be able to provide down in New Orleans, which is really awesome.
As an English major as well, the New Orleans Public Library was there, and they had some like posters and signs about banned books, and I was super nerding out because I was like, oh my gosh, I know all the references on their posters. I love it. But like seeing like organizations like that there, I think is really important, because you know, you have all these other organizations who are just there to have a good time, but then you can see like the organizations from the city that were there as well to acknowledge that like we are a part of this conversation as well. So I really like that, and they were all having a good time, and it was happy to see like a city come together like that and just kind of just be like, okay, cool, we're doing this parade, and it was functional, and it was a great time.
Well, and just showcase their culture, right? And what they're all about, and put that on display, and just be proud of it. And I've never been, but I tell you, you guys are making me excited. Exactly. Everyone is making me really excited.
I will say I'm very proud of the group. I mean, for the most part, most of them, when we went out Saturday night, partook in Louisiana cuisine and things like that. And then we did order alligator as appetizers.
So good.
Yes.
Everybody tried it. Most people liked it. There was a few that
Was it like a taste like chicken moment, or
it
was.
I kind of forewarned them. I was like, you know, this tastes like chicken or ish, you know.
Right.
Texture's a little bit different.
But everybody, I mean, there was one that didn't like it. Garrett may have finished the rest of it.
I did finish the rest of it.
I mean, we were not going to waste food. I mean,
can't.
But no, I mean, it was fun to watch these guys experience the Louisiana food. it was fun watching them experience the parade. I mean, several of these guys got into it, got pictures, and
Time to jump in the parade and
Yeah.
just like, all right, I guess I'm now I'm a member of the parade. Here I am.
I mean, it was fun. I mean, it really was fun seeing these guys have fun after a very intense conference.
Yeah.
And letting loose and getting to know each other even at dinner and and things like that, and then being able to experience a New Orleans type thing with the Mardi Gras parade. I mean, nobody else does it. I mean, you get to see that, and it was fun, with the different themes and things like that. I mean, it was an interesting and fun night. So,
and I think that experience kind of speaks to Morningside in general,
definitely.
and the mission of Morningside, and we've talked a lot about the students first approach, but also something that is very important is looking at the whole person and shaping the whole individual here when you're here on campus, experiencing your 4 years or 3 years or however long you're here, is that yes, we did the work, we sat in the conference, we wrote things down, we took diligent notes, and we did all of that, and then but there's another part of you as a human being, as an individual, that you need something outside of work a little bit to kind of complete the circle, and we were able to get that as well. So it's like we were there for work and also for enjoyment, and that's something that these experiences we're gonna have. I mean, there's this new saying going around. I think it's like unlocking a core memory or something like that. And I truly believe that trip is going to be a core memory for multiple, if not everyone that went there. And so that was really cool to be able to wear our maroon, wear our Morningside name tags, go down to New Orleans, meet new people, experience the life and the culture, and then come back here to Sioux City and have that connection with each other and be able to now make this place thrive because of those experiences.
To kind of go along with that, to speak more to like my involvement with our organization, my first year on campus, fall of 2019, I traveled to Chicago with student government. I traveled to Washington, D.C. with Active Minds, and I'm so thankful for those opportunities. I would argue they're core memories, right? The way that you're able to bond with those people you meet during your 4 years here is just, you can't even put words to they say that, your friends during your 4 years at college are your friends forever, and I firmly believe that. But to be able to provide that opportunity for a new group of students, a new group of freshmen. We had freshmen on this trip, and that was so cool. Yeah. So cool to be able to see that continuing to happen, especially given the little break that happened with what was going on in the world. But to have that opportunity as an organization, not only to provide our members that, but also as an organization, we provide that opportunity to student groups across campus by allocating funds to make that possible, to have these opportunities for students to go and learn and become better leaders or further their profession or their career or their education, but also to experience more than just what Morningside has to offer during their time at Morningside, and even more to be self-supported doing these things. We couldn't offer these opportunities or go on these trips with the support from administration, and to be able to extend that support at an organizational level to student groups is just sincerely the most meaningful thing for my involvement in the organization.
Absolutely.
And I think kind of going off of that, one of the schools that we had met from Kentucky, and they didn't get a lot of funding from the school at all, and actually, I guess kind of on top of the culture shock of New Orleans, we also had somebody from Kentucky, his name was Dan, and join us for the Mardi Gras parade. So having that relationship and meeting him and hearing about that difference, but then also seeing how us as Morningside students affected his experience in New Orleans was interesting because he had only come with another girl, and it was just the two of them from their school representing. But when he tagged along with us, he wouldn't stop talking about how he was having a great time and how our school just embodied this kind of just involvement and family nature. And he didn't want the night to end. He kept just everything was a new experience. He was having a good time. He just kind of came into the group, and he was just there, and he kind of just was a part of the little family thing that we had going on, and he had a really good time. So I think getting that perspective too from Kentucky and stuff, and then his experience in New Orleans was a good time.
Yeah, and that is so important, and that with this individual too is that there is some other campuses, and I think Dana might have been from University of Indiana, but like from Kentucky,
Yeah.
but like it's school University of Indiana, and he's at a satellite campus that's part of like a larger campus, obviously.
Yeah.
And so to hear the experiences of a big state school versus ours, and the satellite campus versus our campus, and then to sit down with him, we had extensive conversations with this one individual, particularly at the conference. Then we were staying at the same hotel and things like that. And even afterwards, he's like, "Wow, you guys have a lot of great things. Like, would you mind sending me your onboarding packet?" Or like the different things that we had to offer, which was rewarding for us to be able to provide that support. We've been given constant support. Now we can give constant support to others, including, you're by yourself. We don't want you going off by yourself.
No.
Come on.
I was going to say, talk about making it a family thing between the conference you're going to, the experiences downtown, the parade and all that. It's like, we always say like hashtag Mside proud. And it's like, that's exactly what I'm feeling right now. It's like, if a hashtag can be a feeling, that's where I'm at. Like
for real.
For real. But no, that's very, very cool. I want to wrap up, but I really want to leave it just with each of you maybe offering one piece of advice, whether it's to a student that's listening to this, a prospective student, an alumni, anyone, a group or organization, anything, whether it's just travel or thinking about joining a group or paying it forward or anything like that. What is one piece of advice that maybe this, especially your involvement in student government or on campus or this trip in particular, what did it highlight to you? What's your takeaway? Whoever wants to start.
Yeah, I can start. I guess for like whoever's listening, like being involved in your college experience makes it 100% better. Never got on a plane. Wasn't thinking about joining student government. Now I'm here. Now I'm speaking on a podcast. Like, that's and like that push from my peers really pushed me to do like a lot of things on campus, and like I'm shooting for the stars when it comes to like what I want to do the remainder of my last 2 years here at Morningside, or if I end up staying longer. So just, this is like a sign and a push to like get involved. Like just do it. Don't think, the worst that there's so many worse possibilities that could happen, that instead of focusing on that, focus on what like good could happen, because
The
it's
potential.
Yeah, because it's affecting your future and your job, and it's a resume builder and it's a relationship builder. And like I am now known as the person who knows a guy, because I do so many things, and like I'm always connecting people and like building those connections. And like not only did my high school like career help me with that, but like Morningside has helped so much with that. So I think just do it. Just if I see something that you like, instead of just waiting for somebody to go with you, just be the person to just do it. And I think it really just pays off in the end.
Lean in for sure.
Yeah, I'd echo that. The Morningside experience is such an important aspect to everything we do here, right? I mean, our experience as students, the experience we provide to other people. And when I think about the Morningside experience, what I think about is the opportunity. And for students, there are so many opportunities across campus, be it athletics or their major, their education, their studies, or their extracurricular activities or their student groups. And what I would just say is that it's important to take advantage of those opportunities. That's why they're offered to us while we're here, to take advantage of them and to reap the benefits of them. So they're here, and prospective students get here, take advantage of them, and students that are even here. I mean, those opportunities start your freshman year and they don't end. You can attest to that, Alex.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, you got to keep making it happen and getting involved, especially.
I would say for current students, jump at the opportunity. Don't sit back and be like, what if? Just go with it. I mean, get involved, even if it's just one organization. You don't have to be involved like these guys were, just even if you do one organization or something, that's just going to make you a better person. For future students, get here. I mean, once you're on campus, 99% of the time, you're feeling like you're going to be at home. This is where you're going to be. If you ask a lot of students that have made the choice, one of the first things they say is, I felt at home. This is home. I mean, they feel like they're welcomed. People truly care. And for alums, come back. We've, for some of them, they haven't been to campus for, 20 years, 15, 20 years. We've changed. I mean, obviously, we're now Morningside University, but physically, we've changed too. And here this summer, we're going to be, doing some changes again too. So come back and reconnect and for obviously 3 of us here in the room that are Morningside alums, and some of us never thought we'd be back, but here we are. I mean, so
be a part of the future. No doubt.
Come back and really take in what we have to offer and see the beautiful campus that we've through the transformation.
Yeah.
All of those have been great pieces of advice, and I definitely concur with all of those messages. And something that I think, learning at the conference, learning through my advisor, talking about it, and kind of as like a theme for this year is that, sometimes you're going to have to open your own doors, but when you're presented with an opportunity to open a door for another and let them walk through, do it. Yeah. We have been blessed with all of these opportunities, and so now it's our responsibility to make sure that those doors are being opened for other people, because what good is it if it's just going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to walk through and slam it right in someone's face, and then that ends that right there. So it's this lifelong continuing to build those networks to be the great people that Morningside fosters here on campus and take that out into the world.
Yeah. Gosh, lots of great takeaways. Well, I want to thank you all for hopping on the pod, really being a part of this conversation. Really means a lot to me as the frequent host of Inside Mside. It's always great to listen to these incredible individuals, whether it's our alumni, our students, or just those people making a difference on campus. So thank you all so much. Make sure, if you're listening, like, comment, subscribe. Let people know what you're liking about the pod, and let me know how we can do better. But yeah, thanks for being a part of it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Yeah.